What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Fantasy Football. My name is Ryan Linkletter. I'm here with Danny Carpenter today. We are talking about the 5 players that we don't really like at their ADPs. Danny, why don't you talk about kind of our theory behind these players and their ADPs and why they don't make sense to us right now?
Well, it's the idea that people are probably ranking them based off of last season, but NFL fantasy football changes every year. These guys are going to change. It's the idea that they still having good situations, but the situations may have changed where something, maybe a coaching change or somebody coming in that's going to affect the offense for these guys where they may not be the main guys. That's part of the biggest thing we're looking at. We're going into who's going to be our bust for this season.
Yeah, and the player I want to start with is the Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Chris Godwin. Godwin coming off another major injury, and they drafted Emeka Egbuka. Like, those are 2 major red flags for me, considering the fact he's a primary slot guy and so is Egbuka. Not looking great for Chris Godwin for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. I think that where Godwin's priced right now in round 5, round 6 is still too high. He should be more of a round 8, round 9 value, considering the fact he's returning from injury. That offense has a ton of targets to throw around. And I know that Baker Mayfield's going to sling that rock around. I think Mike Evans is reasonably priced. I think Jalen McMillan's reasonably priced. Yes. I think Egbuka is reasonably priced. But Godwin needs to just kind of lower that price just a little bit. I'm going to avoid him at that current price due to his injury concerns that seem to continue to grow throughout his career. And despite him being a target monster, if he's a step slower from this injury, Danny, Emeka Egbuka is just going to slot right into the slot, and he's going to fit perfectly. I think that draft's move suggested the fact that Chris Godwin might not be returning to 100% of what Chris Godwin was prior to that injury. What do you think of Godwin currently for Tampa Bay?
That was my same thought, too. So why are they drafting wide receiver? They think Godwin's going to be able to come back. So the injury was pretty gruesome that he had last year. And plus, he's come off of other injuries where it's season-ending injuries, and they haven't been able to fill that void when he leaves. Now you got McMillan. Now you got Odunze, too, with him. So that helps on that part. So now he doesn't come back 100%. They have the holes filled because, like you said, Baker's going to throw the ball. Plain and simple. That offense is basically based off Baker being hot and cold. If he's cold or not on, but he's hot, he's hot. It's why Baker rolls.
Yep, 100%. And, I don't think Chris Godwin's going to be rolling for that draft price. No. I see him more as a flex option, not a wide receiver 2 option this year. And that's one player that I'm avoiding at their current ADP. Your first guy here, Saquon Barkley. Tell me why I should be avoiding Saquon Barkley with my first or second overall pick in my draft right now.
It's hard to repeat as the number 1 running back. It's just something that's happened in the last 10 years of fantasy football. And just for the fact, he also had the magic number of 370. When a running back gets 370 touches, they hardly repeat as a top RB1 running back. The only person that's been able to do that in the last 10 years has been Derrick Henry, and he's a completely different monster compared to everybody else in the NFL when it comes to running backs. So, but Saquon's a beast as well, too. And that offense, depending if they end up having tweak the tush push where it doesn't count as much, he may get more opportunities, but still the tush push is there. He's not getting all the touches at the goal line like most number 1 running backs would get on their teams. And that's a concern right there. And plus the number of touches last year is hard to repeat those kinds of numbers of scoring in fantasy football.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things that, is concerning on top of that is his missed tackle rate wasn't as high as you'd think it'd be for a player that won Offensive Player of the Year. And it's a little bit concerning. He had a ton of volume last season, was behind a very, very good offensive line. And I think he's going to be efficient again because the offensive line's great once again. But if he gets an injury like he struggled with throughout his career, investing that much capital in him seems like a mistake. I can't remember the last time the Offensive Player of the Year repeated as a wide receiver 1, RB1 at their position. So that is another red flag for me. And a guy that sits right behind him in Bijan Robinson seems like he is going to take another step this season. So why would I pick Saquon Barkley when there are so many red flags? If he falls to me at pick 5 or 6, Danny, I might just throw my hands up and say, I got to have him there, like at that point. Yeah, but there's other players that I'd take.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and one thing, too, he's always been a home run hitter. His rookie year, he ran for his 1,300 yards. I think 600 yards of them came off of big runs, and that's last year. He lived off those early in the season.
100%. Second half of games was just big run.
Exactly. And it's hard to repeat that because teams they I don't know if they don't really bunch up the box as much as they really just concentrate more on tackling him, getting him down on the ground instead of giving him the big runs. And NFL teams that adjust, and it changes every year. So his opportunities of having a big runs probably come down this season.
Yeah, and the other thing is the Eagles have an incredibly tough schedule this season, so we will see what we get with Saquon Barkley, another player that we are probably avoiding at their current ADP. The next player, Romo Odunze for the Chicago Bears. Odunze is pretty high priced considering the fact he had a inconsistent rookie season. He had target competition with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore last year, similar type situation. Now the Bears come in with an improved offensive line, Ben
Yes.
Johnson. They didn't really change the running back situation, but they did draft Luther Burden at receiver. And, despite the changes on the offense, it's increased Romo Odunze's price even from last season.
Yeah.
And it makes me very hesitant investing in increased price based on these what ifs. Can Odunze take another step? Is Odunze the wide receiver too? Can Odunze get enough volume? There's too many variables there, Danny, for me to just say round 9, Romo Odunze. Let me lock that in for me. He's more of a round 11, round 12 dart throw than he is a, first option off the bench flex player type right now where he's getting drafted. So I don't know if I love Romo Odunze heading into this year, and that's why I'm kind of fading him where he is. And Luther Burden can easily step in. If Luther Burden's the slot and DJ Moore operates as that outside receiver, it's going to be Luther Burden who is the second best target. Romo Odunze only operates as an outside receiver, so he is not in the running for that. So it makes me concerned. What are your thoughts on Odunze?
Yeah, same thing. And plus they added Loveland as a tight end too. So now you got Komet, Odunze, DJ Moore. You got so many options there in that offense. I don't know how much he's going to be it's going to be a focal point. And I think that focal point, like we talked earlier before, it's probably going to be DJ Moore on that part. And plus you bring in another tight end, and Johnson's been known to target his main guy, and his main guy, in our opinion, is DJ this year. Yep. So it's going to be hard for him to actually put up the volume that's going to be needed to be like a true number 2 wide receiver. He's more probably a wide receiver 3 flex type of guy if you need it on a bye or something like that coming into the season, until they shake out training camp on that part of it. But I'd lean the same way you are with him.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about your next guy here. Ben Johnson's former quarterback, Jared Goff. Is that the main reason you're down on him this year?
Yeah, I mean, Jared's also proven in the past that he is kind of hit and miss. Last season, he was great. I mean, there was games where he just didn't throw an incomplete pass and a half. It just did whatever he wanted. But I think the offense had something to do with that too. Johnson was a hell of a play caller that he's may miss this season. I mean, they lose their defense coordinator too when Aaron Glenn went to the Jets too. So they're kind of rebuilding that coaching staff there, and part of it's going to be the offense. Who's going to step in there and keep that offense rolling like it has the last 3 seasons?
Yeah, and what's interesting about it is Jared Goff's splits, road versus home, indoor versus outdoor. Him having no rushing upside either. Like,
no,
very scary without Ben Johnson as the guy calling his plays. Exactly. I mean, I listen, the talent's all there. Like, they're returning basically everybody on offense. They even drafted another receiver, Isaac Tesla, in the 3rd round, who could be a guy that they really liked. But the turnover on offense is real in terms of Ben Johnson leaving. They're going to regress in terms of play calling. Goff splits home versus road, make him more of a streaming quarterback than a draftable quarterback. So you're basically wasting a draft pick by picking Jared Goff. You're going to hate starting him when he's on the road, but you're going to love starting him when he's at home in indoor stadiums. It's just not worth picking him. It's more worth picking another guy later in the draft, like the player we just talked about, Caleb Williams.
Exactly.
Somebody like that makes more sense to me than Jared Goff this season. Goff is way overpriced right now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Oh, you want to finish?
Yeah. Just one more thing with it too. And if Gibbs would happen to get hurt, that explosion of the offense kind of changes then on that point. Yeah. You grew up the David Montgomery kind of running the ball more, so I don't know how much it's going to be passing the ball as much because you don't have that X factor with Gibbs touching the ball and taking it to the house every time he touches it. So there's that opportunity as well.
And we'll see if Jameson Williams is on the team too by the start of the season. There were some trade rumors. We'll see.
Yep.
All right, heading into our last guy here, Brock Bowers for the Las Vegas Raiders. This one is probably our most controversial one here on this list. And the main reason I wanted to talk about Bowers today is him being priced at the beginning of the 2nd round, end of the 1st round, is absurd in my mind. We learned this lesson last year or in the year before with Travis Kelce, in my opinion. And even Sam Laporta was going at the end of 2nd last year. Tight end should not be valued until the end of the 2nd round at this point in the NFL, where we probably have 12 to 14 tight ends, Danny, that, are actually consistent right now. And we saw last year how brutal the position was in terms of actual production at the top end. Bowers obviously took that over as the season went on. But this year, I'm worried about Bowers repeating. He had 150 targets last year. Basically, the Raiders were never in games, and they were throwing the ball so many times to stay in games. Look, the quarterback situation's great. He got an upgrade with Geno Smith, but
exactly.
Geno Smith hasn't historically thrown to tight ends very much.
No, he hasn't.
So seeing 150 targets doesn't make sense. I could see him 120, 115 with 80 catches. That's realistic, and that probably leaves his yardage a little bit shorter. I think the touchdowns probably go up with Geno, but the volume's going to be down. It's not going to be what we saw from Brock Bowers last season.
Exactly.
And I don't think it's worth it investing a beginning of the second round pick. Now, if you're at the turn for 2-3, sure, go make that investment in Brock Bowers. Get that elite tight end. I'm okay with that. But if you get him at the 1 to 2 turn, it does not make much sense for me right now. What are your thoughts?
We actually just started a Dynasty startup league, and he actually went 6th or 7th in our league. Yeah, but it's also a bonus for an extra bonus point for catches from tight ends. Yeah. But still run into the fact that Geno's never thrown to tight ends. They got Genty this year now, so they're gonna run the ball more. Their schedule, I mean, they still have to play against the Chiefs. The Chiefs is all good defense. Denver's defense has got better as well too. I mean, the opportunities where people know who he is now. Last year, like you said, they were never in games, so he was able to throw the ball, and teams just said, well, we'll just leave him open. It's not that big a deal. We got the lead. Now, if you get Genty, you may get the lead now, may not be the number one guy they're looking at. I mean, still got Jacoby Myers there. I think Genty will surprise. I mean, I don't know surprise, but as much as he's a real deal. He's going to be able to provide what the Raiders need in the running attack at the NFL level of what they've had the last couple of seasons.
100%, 100%. Well, guys, those are our 5 players that you should be avoiding at their current ADP. Let us know down in the comment section below if you agree with these guys or if there's another player that you don't necessarily like at their current ADP. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Fantasy Football content, and me and Danny will catch you guys next time.
Later, guys.